had one major steering issue in an 8th race this afternoon.
Mitsubishi. When I see that you are both straight and ready, I will start you like this. Attention, go.
Whether the umpire is satisfied that the Japanese are straight, certainly they are set on a course which will take them closer to McBrierty and Tarrant.
Attention, go.
So let's see how they do steer. Silver Goblets and Nickalls Challenge Cup, the Mitsubishi Boat Club in Tokyo. Nakamura and Kamada on the box station, and on the Berkshire side, Callum McBrierty and Matt Tarrant.
So you can see Nakamura and Kamada, they pulled themselves, they weren't quite straight, they came across the course now, and they're right on the edge of their water. Interesting whether or not the umpire is going to make any comment on that, but I think they're pulling themselves back now, yeah, definitely coming back over onto their station.
The umpire did seem unperturbed. Is it possible that that was a deliberate manoeuvre?
Cruise of the standard in this event. You know, this is one of the open events at the regatta, and you know they should be of the capability to be able to do that. So I'm imagining that the umpire was allowing for their experience.
But it is the substantially heavier pair, 15-12 and 15-5 respectively, McBrierty and Tarrant, who have established an early advantage, and it's going to be hard work for this Japanese pair who, as Gwyn rightly indicated, did have to race yesterday against their compatriots Kajihara and Arakawa. They won by 3 1/4 lengths in a time of 7 minutes 38, but it's likely and indeed visible that the standard of their opponents has gone up a notch here, and in the early stages they're struggling to stay with them.
Absolutely, you can see McBrierty and Tarrant settled into their rhythm much earlier than the Japanese crew here, who are now starting to settle in. It's sort of coming into the point now where the rush of the start has passed and the body's really kicking into motion, and it's really important that any crews settle into that really good base speed as they come through. Both crews have done that now, and maybe this is where the 3 kilos a man is starting to show. Japan
Clearly keen that their rowing programme should get some momentum as they head up towards hosting the Olympic Games in 2020. Most of the venues for those games will be in the vicinity of Tokyo Bay, including the Sea Forest Waterway located in Tokyo Bay, adjacent to the Tokyo Gate Bridge for the rowing in 2020 on the Pacific coast there. They want to get their teeth into rowing in time for hosting that most high profile of all regattas. This pair
absolutely showing a real level of confidence and comfortability here, and one of the real challenges and one of the expertise of rowing a pair, unlike the larger boats or sculling boats, you have 1 oar each, and that balanced perfectly with your rowing partner is a real skill. And you know, if you have a tendency to pull very hard at one part of the stroke, say at the beginning of the stroke, it would be very hard for the boat to go straight. So that real togetherness really matters in the coxless pair.
And how would you delineate between their respective duties in terms of communication?
Absolutely. So the man who'll be closest to the front is in the bow of the boat, and he'll be talking to the strokeman, who's the man closest to the stern, who'll be setting the rhythm. At this moment in time, I don't know who has a steering foot, so they'll be steering with a wire attached to one of their feet, with wire that then runs to the underneath of the boat, where there's a small rudder about the size of your thumb to steer the boat. And I'm imagining in multi-lane racing, it tends to be the strokeman that carries the steering foot. But on river racing, often you give it to your bowman so he can look round. But it's definitely a comfortable race here for McBrierty and Tarrant.
Which they may value ahead of what is going to be a tough semi-final against James Fode and Matt Langridge, pair of British Olympic medalists who await them in the last four, having beaten Brinker and Reynolds earlier today by 4 3/4 lengths, so a pretty comfortable victory in a time of 7 minutes 59. Fode and Langridge then likely to be facing McBrierty and Tarrant tomorrow.
So you can see from this lovely shot that we've come, this aerial shot coming down, you see Nakamura and Kamada, they're probably starting to pick up the wash that's coming in from the British crew ahead of them, which is probably going to unsettle them a bit. But at the same time, I'm sure some of the washes coming off the pleasure boats outside of the course is affecting, testing their skill as much as their opposition's wash.
Callum McBrierty there in the colours of Leander, rowing back up towards his home boathouse. Tarrant in the stroke seat with a degree of comfort, perhaps, correct me if I'm wrong, but having reached the point now where they can begin mentally to turn on to tomorrow's race and possibly row within themselves, just do enough.
Yeah, and one thing's really important, that they keep their speed going, but they row as efficiently as they can. And you can see there's a really lovely sense of momentum as they drive off the end of the stroke. And they take that forward, and then as they pick the water up again. So really efficient type of rowing now. They'll be mindful that, of course, they need to maintain their technique, so their balance needs to be just as perfect as if they're going flat out. But just look how relaxed the hands and the elbows and the wrists of the rowers are as they come down, despite the fact that they'll probably be putting about 80% of power down.
Relentlessly rehearsed and impeccably executed.
And Nakamura and Kamada, they're really still absolutely putting everything into this race, keeping their rate up high, really driving their legs and backs down.
Pair of very fit individuals, needing to be mentally strong now as well to maintain this push to the end, to do themselves justice. For them, of course, a really wonderful learning experience, really wonderful. Great for them to have gone through a win yesterday, albeit that they're having to suffer on the back of it today. But there's never been a race from which you can't learn something, and this experience will have done them a great deal of good. But it is McBrierty and Tarrant who will prevail.
Absolutely, and real appreciation from the crowd, both crews now as they come down. It's a great feeling as you come down into the last parts of the race and the crowd are cheering. It's a great clapping.
Callum McBrierty and Matt Tarrant, without their feathers really having been ruffled, are comfortably through to the semi-final of the Silver Goblets and Nickalls Challenge Cup, where they'll meet James Fode and Matt Langridge tomorrow, while Sumito Nakamura and Noritaka Kamada follow them in.